Oh,
We're on, Iggs. G'day, how you doing? Good to have you here. Hopefully the microphone's working as it should be. Let me just check. Yes, we're on. We are good. We are good. How you doing? Good to have you here. I got my good mate Ignacio Palacios with us today. World famous travel, landscape, wildlife photographer. More awards than he could poke a stick at. Um, Absolutely incredible. It's going to be a lot of fun. Before we get started, a couple of things. Have a look in the description below. There's a bunch of information, including Ignacio has an incredible composition ebook, 180 pages of photography goodness and tips and inspiration. And it is free, unbelievably. It is free. Check the description below. There's a whole bunch of other good stuff down there. For the show today, to thank Ignacio for coming on, be sure to hit the like button. And of course, if you've got a bit of time right now, hit the share button, share to Facebook, message your friends, email your friends, whatever you need to do. Let them know that Ignacio is here with us and it's going to be a lot of fun. G'day, Iggy. How you doing, mate? Good to have you here.
I'm good.
That's
I'm
all
good.
right.
Locked down in the house. You?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, lockdown, keeping busy doing this stuff. Um,
Mm.
let's start with that. I mean, we've got a whole bunch of images that I want to go through and show everyone here. But
Mhm.
with the lockdown, how's that affected you?
Oh man, well, it's affecting everyone, I guess. But yeah. So as you know, I ran a lot of tours through a year, and all of the tours that I had this year they have been canceled and postponed for next year. I had a trip to Svalbard and another one to Iran, South Africa. All of them have been moved to next year. I haven't moved to Japan yet, but probably have to do that as well. So you know, uh, you know that I have this bloody parasite that I got in South America last year, and I nearly don't go to India. And in the end, I went to India with the group, and I thought, I didn't know that this, like who was going to think
Yeah.
that this was going to happen. Like that was actually the only tour that I ran this year, and the rest have been moved to next year. So
Wow.
it's great. I don't know what's going to happen next year either. So until we get a vaccine, and so yeah, it's crazy. But it's a great opportunity to be doing other things that I couldn't do when I was traveling so much. So one of the things is this ebook. I've been working on many ebooks and books for the last few years, and I never had the time to put the effort on selecting and doing the copy and designing the books. So now it's the time, and I'm having a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So yeah.
Yeah, nice one, mate. We will touch on that. We'll touch on that ebook later. I'm going to bring up the PDF. We'll have a flick through a couple of the pages and show the
Mm-hmm.
guys as well. Let me share my screen and we'll have a look at a few of your incredible images, mate. There's a few of my all-time favorites in here. Here we go. Okay, let me remove that. Beautiful. Can you see that too, Iggy?
Yeah, I can see the picture. Yeah.
Mate, phenomenal image. Tell me a little bit about this one. Where was it captured? What were you up to? Who were you with?
This was captured in Mongolia with my very good friend Ricardo Dacuna from the Light Collective. I think you know that guy, right?
I know Ricardo.
And
Yeah, he's a good
yeah, so
guy.
we're running a photo tour in Mongolia, and this is during the Eagle 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 Hunter Festival,
Uh-huh.
and which happens every year in September, October. So yeah, it was an incredible location to photograph people, and I just saw this girl with her eagle, and the connection with the
Yeah.
eagle, looking at each other, was just yeah, I loved that. It's one of my favorite pics of from that trip. Yeah, beautiful.
Oh man, it is
I've done
really
a little bit to this one because the eagle wasn't as that close to her, but I probably moved the eagle a few centimeters. But
just a few. Okay.
yeah.
Well, that's it. Well, that's interesting. I mean, we'll touch on that actually. But before we do, I mean, I love this image. I think it's really, really powerful image. The background being so plain and
Mm,
quite blurry with no details, incredible. But absolutely, the
mm,
connection between the eagle, this really powerful predatory
mm,
bird,
mm,
and this young girl here is just Absolutely
Yeah.
brilliant. And the light as well, mate. You've got everything going on
Yeah,
there.
the light is okay. I mean, it wasn't early, or
Yeah, it's
it
pretty
was it
harsh,
was
but
middle
yeah,
of the day. It's not very hard. It's okay. But I mean, the main thing about this shot is the connection and
yeah,
between the two. And as you said, I think I was using a 400 mil f2.8. I'm not sure if I was doing f4 or about f4 probably, and to get that blur in the background. Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah, I can see the light's a little bit harsh by the shadow across the bottom of her chin, but you've got that face beautifully in the light, which is really, really nice. So with post-processing, since you brought it up, mate, what's the go? What are you allowed to do? What do you allow to do yourself? You know, where's the boundaries for you?
I do whatever I want to do, man. As you know, like
Nice.
to make the composition, to make the shot look better. I do whatever I have to do to it. So I don't mind if it's an animal, if it's a portrait, if it's a landscape. Then it's different if you are going to use that for competitions. Like in some competitions you are not allowed to do that. So I have sometimes different versions of the same
Sure.
shot. So I've used this shot for some competitions where I'm keeping the distance, the original distance between the eagle and her.
Yeah.
But in my fine art prints, I do whatever I feel I have to do to get it perfect or to realize my vision. So that's
Yeah. And would you say, you know,
no limits.
by moving that closer together, it has achieved a vision of a stronger connection and a more powerful image of that
Yeah,
connection? Yeah, I think it has, hasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
mean the original is also good there, but I just felt that I wanted to you know to make them a little bit closer to each other, and
Yeah,
sometimes tiny things like that help a little bit. But yeah,
yeah.
a lot of the
Nice.
wildlife shots that I have and some of the landscape shots that I have, I do absolutely nothing. So
Yeah,
I don't have to if the shoot is if the image is good enough. I don't. But if in some others, as you know, then if I have some ideas, I try to get what I have in mind. Sometimes it doesn't work, as you know. Like you
yeah,
might have an idea before you go on a trip. You have a vision. You have pre-visualized something that you want to create, and sometimes you don't get to shoot it, or sometimes you have the idea when you're shooting and you're photographing something and it's like, oh, I could do this when I go home. Or sometimes you don't get any ideas before or during the trip, but then when you are processing your
yeah.
images at home and you are going through them, it's like, oh, this would be nice if I do this. Or so you get the ideas through the whole process before, during, and after the trip.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll just, before we move on to the next one, for those watching at home, be sure I've got the comments running over on my other screen over on the left. If you see me peering over there, I'm checking to see if you guys have got any questions for Ignacio. And if you do, be sure to enter the conversation. Tag myself because it will pop up in fluorescent orange and I'll know that you have a question for me. The way to tag is type @ as in, the @ symbol in an email, @ and then write Adam, and you should be able to select Adam Williams Creative from the list, and then type your question in, and I'll make sure that I ask that to Ignacio as we go. All right, Iggy, let's take a look at the next one. That one is absolutely incredible. I love that image. Where are we? Here we go. Tell us a little about this one, mate.
Oh, nice. Mm. Yeah, this was photographed last year when I was running a tour in India. We went first to Ladakh, which is a region in the north of India, in the Himalayas, and we're photographing, the landscapes and the monasteries, the monks, and that was incredible. But then after that, we're having like a little safari around this national park in India, which is called Ranthambore. It's only about 7 hours by train from Delhi, and I don't know, I think there are about 160 different tigers there, and we had a really good driver and tracker, and that was just one of the mornings that we're photographing. And that tiger is called Arrowhead because she has some marks on her head that are similar to an arrow, I guess. And that tiger had two little cubs last year. I think they were 3 months old, and she's returning to see the cubs. She was just leaving the cubs every every night to hunt and to mark the territory. And every morning she was returning to see her cubs. So it was just beautiful to see that. And this is one of the moments when she's walking around the lake, one of the lakes that are in the park.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful, mate. And pretty much natural, straight out of camera, this one, or have you had a play with it?
Yeah. I haven't done much. That was actually sent to the New South Wales Photography Awards last year, and did well, I think. So I sent it in wildlife. I just love this shot because a lot of the images that you see of tigers are portraits or close-ups, taken with a long telephoto lens. This one was also taken with a long telephoto lens, but it's a little bit different because you see a little bit of the landscapes around, and you see the tiger coming out from the left-hand side of the image. It's not on the rule of thirds spot or the sweet spot, but it's close to it, and it's moving towards the right-hand side. I love the reflections as well on the lake, the colors, the balance, one tree balancing the other one on the left and the right, kind of like some symmetry around the image.
Nice one, mate. Nice one. A couple of questions here.
I'm actually doing a book about. I'm actually now in the process of getting very, very close to printing this book about tigers in Ranthambore.
Awesome.
This is one of the shots that I have. It's gonna go in the print. Yeah, it will go to the printer probably in the next couple of weeks. So yeah.
And that will that be for sale as a product?
Yeah,
on your website?
It's not an ebook. This will be a book, and the plan is to sell it around the hotels in Ranthambore, around the park. So I'll probably print a few thousands, and one of the things that I need to do now that I can travel, ebooks and books, which is a lot of fun. But so this is one of them.
And you've produced quite a few physical printed books. Do you find that a pretty good way to make a little bit of income on the side to supplement photography?
Yeah, sometimes. Look, I still have my Sydney Rock Pools book running, and I sell a few of them every month. But once you have the book with a distributor, it's the markup or what you make it's not much, but it's fun, and you gotta do something, I guess. So
keep busy, mate. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Couple of online questions here. Robin Moon, Robin E. She asks, I know you used an 800mm for snow leopards. What do you normally use for the bears and tigers?
The 800, I was using an 800 this year for the tigers as well, because I was taking that lens for the snow leopards. So for the tigers this year, I was using an 800mm and a 70-200, because the tigers are actually really close to the car sometimes, and you can use the 24-70 or even the 70-200 are very good lenses. I used a lot the 800 as well, but my favorite safari lens is probably the 180. I'm talking about Nikon. I think Canon has a similar one, or the brands. The 200-400 is a beautiful lens. To the flexibility, but if you are gonna take two lenses and two bodies, the 70-200 and the 200-400 are probably going to give you a really good really good outcome. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful, mate. There was another question here. Sea breeze. I'm not 100% sure what this question is, so we'll get some clarity on that one. It says, Iggy. Seabreeze says, did he have to wear a mask on back of head when on land? I don't know what that means. I don't know. We'll leave that one there.
A mask?
Yeah. Maybe when you came back from India. I don't know. We'll leave that one there. We'll get some clarity on that question. Seabreeze had some clarity. I'm not sure if it's what the question is exactly about. Iggy, look at this one. One of my absolute favourites. I believe it's also won at least one, maybe a few international awards. Tell us a little bit about the image.
I don't think I don't know about it. I'm very proud of this one because I won it's a Lux Gold Award, which is equivalent to Landscape Photographer of the Year. It's the professional awards in Spain.
Yep.
That was photographed the first time that I was visiting Salar de Uyuni in Bolivia. That was in 2013, I think. And yeah, it's just such an amazing place. It's just incredible. That year was dry. Sometimes you find it flooded, and then you get amazing reflections. It's just incredible. It's a bit like Lake Eyre in Australia, but it's bigger than Lake Eyre. And the hexagons, you can go across it and visit different islands, and it's just surreal. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. So this was captured in 2013. It's a composite. So the top where you see the island is called Fisher Island, and the little car that was photographed during sunrise, and then the hexagons in the foreground were photographed at sunset.
Okay.
I just couldn't. I had this as well, this image in my mind before I went there. I wanted to get some of these hexagons. I had in my mind a square composition with some diagonals. I couldn't find the hexagons, the right lines, and I went back in the afternoon at sunset. I was the only one coming back. It wasn't a photography tour. I was with some other tours and friends. Sorry, other people and friends. And I went back on my own and until I got this foreground here, and I merged the two in Photoshop. I've done a little bit with the clouds and the sky, but yeah,
looks beautiful.
Yeah, one of my favorite images. Yeah,
it's one of my favorites as well. I might have to get this as a print at some stage, I think, Iggs. Or actually, I don't know which ones to choose. My all-time favorites coming up as well. Couple more quick questions. Seabreeze clarified. He was referring to, did you need to wear like a fake face mask on the back of your head because he heard that tigers attack from the back? Is that a thing? Is that a thing that you've ever heard of? Wearing a
No. They don't attack cars as long as if you are in the car. My guys. I ask the same question sometimes if they jump in the cars or things like that, and there's no cases of tigers jumping into cars at all. They don't bother. As long as you are in the car, it's completely safe. They don't jump in. They don't actually. That's what I have been told. They don't see you. If you are in the car, they don't recognize you as a human. It's just the whole thing, the car, and they don't really care. Yeah, but if you are out, that's a different thing.
Yeah, absolutely. One more quick question. Which Nikon cameras are you using?
I have the DA50 and an old DA10. I was gonna buy the D6 for my trip to South Africa, but yeah, I think it's gonna have to wait.
Yeah.
Maybe make some sales for my ebooks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I want to get the D6 for my trips next year.
And Timothy Moon says time blending. He's having a bit of a joke. Blending two images from two different times of the day equals time blending, which is perfectly okay, Iggy. Any form of blending is okay. Time blending. All right, let's go to the next one. Wow, same location, is this, Iggy?
Yeah, that's the same place. That was 3 years later with Ken Duncan. And we were so lucky. We found the lake flooded, so those are the reflections I was referring to before.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and it is one of these places that is worth visiting twice in your life if you can. At least once, but twice if you can see this flooded and dry. It's incredible. Sometimes you can find some patches of some parts of the lake of the lake dry and some other parts flooded with water, but the effect of having the whole lake flooded like this was incredible. So that's one of these moments where one of my guests in the tour stopped the car and went for a wander and photographed, and
it's magic, mate. So that car was there. You haven't
you can see the two little cars going on the right hand side. I don't know if you can see them.
It's down here. So this is a single shot, Iggy, pretty much as you saw it?
Yeah, this is a single shot. I haven't done much to it at all. Yeah.
And what's it like traveling with Ken Duncan, working with Ken Duncan?
It's fun. Yeah, he can tell you many, many stories. He's become a very good friend. We've done so many tours together now. And yeah, it's it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot to learn from him. Of course, he's a master and an icon in the industry in
Absolutely.
Australia.
One of
Landscape photography.
Australia's
So
best, if not the
it's
best.
always a lot of fun, and always pick up some things from the different people you work with. So it's yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, mate, you want to watch your dust spots, I see. Well,
What?
no.
That's what?
I'll show you where it is later. There's a little one on there. It's all good, mate. It's all good. Shows you're human. You're human. Just don't
You
sell.
have to clean your. That's your screen.
Oh,
I don't have.
it might be. It might be. Oh, yeah. It's my screen. There's a dust.
Is this cropped? You've made this. This is a square now.
No, this is the one you sent me, mate. This is the one you sent me.
Okay.
You sent me the square version.
Version.
I've got this. I've got this print at home in my print collection. I've got a lot of Australian photography prints that I like to collect, and this is one of them.
You didn't pay for it. You haven't paid for it.
Send me an invoice, mate. You might have one of mine that you haven't paid for too. I think.
True.
Although maybe you just pretended you had one of mine. But anyway, this is a beautiful image. It won the Focus. I can't remember what year it was. Maybe 2016 or 17 or something. Image of the year, didn't it, Iggy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like you win just about everything.
And in the Altiplano in Bolivia, it's called the Seven Colors Mountain.
Uh-huh.
And I think it was sunrise. That cloud was about 200 meters to the right. I just decided at home to move it to the top at the top of that peak.
Uh-huh.
It's the whole Altiplano in Bolivia, whole Altiplano region. It's just beautiful. The landscapes, the trip I've done that trip 4 or 5 times. I'm doing it hopefully next year again, and in 2022 again. They are both trips. They are full, all of them. But it's just beautiful. The altitude is a little bit tricky. It's always someone who has some issues. Sometimes even myself, I have issues with altitude because you are at 4,400 meters, even at 5,000 meters at some points during the trip. But it's just a place that is worth visiting. It's beautiful. Yeah. One of my favorite places in South America for sure. Yeah.
Spectacular. And who do you normally do that trip with? By yourself or another photographer?
I've always done that one with others. So I've done it with Kevin Raver and with Art Wolfe. I've done it with Ken Duncan. I've done it with Peter Eastway last year.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And next year I'm doing it with Marcel Van Osten.
Okay.
So I've done it with
Art Wolfe. Tell us about.
Yeah.
Tell us about working with Art Wolfe. A lot of us know who Art Wolfe is, an incredible photographer. What's he like as a person to work with?
It's a lot of fun. He again, like Ken, he's been working as a photographer for 40 or 50 years, and he has so many stories. He's so talented. He's quite impatient sometimes. Photographing, but the stuff that he gets, it's amazing, his eye, it's just incredible. And and it's a lot of fun traveling and working with him. He's been always an inspiration for me. For the last 20 years that I have been shooting, I have all his books over here. All of these books are Wolfe's. And I have, all of those books are photography books. So that's a very, very good source of inspiration for me. And and I've done other trips with him. I think Lofoten, Patagonia, Atacama, Altiplano. It's fun. And a lot of fun.
Excellent, mate. Couple of questions. Steph asks, and I think it refers to this one, which particular lake was it in that region? Are they all separate named lakes, are they, Iggy? And if so, which one was that one? Do you remember?
No, that's Salar de Uyuni. That's it's just one lake. It's all flat. It's at around 3,400 meters over sea level, and and it's only one huge lake.
Okay.
It's only a few centimeters of water, and that's where you get that reflection, and it's so flat. And the hexagons below are all white, so
Yeah,
you
I
get
can
a
see it.
pure reflection. And then when you are driving the cars, it looks like driving on a huge mirror. Like all the clouds reflecting on the water. It's just
Surreal.
insane, beautiful.
Yeah.
That afternoon we had a storm, and it was just amazing. The colors in the sky. One of the things I haven't done yet there in Salar is to get a good astro shot. I'm not a big fan of astro, but I would love to do a good astro shot or star trails or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, along the lines of what some of Murray Frederick's work is doing on Lake Eyre.
Oh yeah,
he does some incredible
yes.
Salt Lake
That's
astro.
incredible.
Yeah,
those prints are amazing.
If you guys haven't heard of Murray Fredericks, do yourself a favor and look up his work. He does some really interesting, sometimes quirky, very simplistic style work. I love it. A couple of questions here, Iggy. I'll go with Graham Gall first of all. Just give us a quick, couple of sentence rundown on what your workflow looks like. Like Lightroom, Photoshop, how does that work?
I've always been using the same workflow. A lot of my guests are using Lightroom, and some of them are using Capture One. I know how to use those, but when I am working at home, I follow the same workflow that I was following 10 years ago. I am still using Bridge, and I look at my images in Bridge, and from there I go into Adobe Camera Raw. And I don't spend a lot of time in Adobe Camera Raw, probably a few seconds, really, 30 seconds, 1 minute on each image, doing a bit of sharpening and adjustments. And then straight from there, I go to Photoshop. And that's what I spend most of the time. But again, I shoot so much through the year that I don't spend a lot of time with an image unless it's really good. Sometimes I spend 1 or 2 hours, 3 hours, but the average is probably 5 minutes, so I don't do a lot to the images. Yeah, only spend time on the ones that I really like.
Yeah, awesome. All right, let's skip a couple through. We saw that one. There's a few more questions. I'll get to those in a minute. I love this image, Iggy. This is a pretty new image, and I'm not sure what weight you give particular awards to, or whether you just photograph for yourself. This one has also been extremely successful, I think. Did it get a gold award this year at APPA?
No, not quite. I think it was 88 points, or 89, I can't remember. But this is a retouched image. The reason why I probably didn't go into gold was because there was a little highlight at the top that I have patched, cloned in this version. But because I sent this image in the nature category, I couldn't really clone or do anything to it. So that's probably why the judges were kind of complaining about that highlight at the top. And I think you saw that image and you pointed that out. But I didn't want to crop it because the sand dune at the top is kind of balancing the others, and it's all working compositionally well. If I had cropped that sand dune at the top, it would have been a little bit weird. So I decided not to do that, but that removed a couple of points that probably would have gone into gold. But that particular image, I also sent it in the Travel Photographer of the Year competition last year, and I won the category for this.
It's beautiful, mate. It really is beautiful.
It was also with Ken. It's a place in Brazil called Lençóis Maranhenses, and it's north of Brazil. I've always wanted to photograph there. A few of my guests were dying to go there, so I organized a trip, and I went with Ken. We chartered a few planes, and then I think it was the second or third flight that we took. I saw that palm tree I couldn't believe it. It's just such a good storytelling there. How can a tree survive or grow in such an environment, in the sand dunes? Because honestly, I just didn't see any more trees over there. It was just unique to see that. So it's yeah.
100%.
As soon as I went down the flight, I saw some of my guests look at this. I knew I had something, I knew that
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
that
yeah.
was that was good. Yeah.
Mate, the image is spectacular without the tree, but the tree is just like the little cherry on top. It just sets the whole image off, gives it scale,
Mm.
gives it story, and just takes it to the
Yeah.
next level. I really think it should have been a gold for mine. I would have given it a gold, mate. Absolutely. Helicopter.
I think it's a goal. It's a goal with distinction. Come on.
Of course, 99 out of 100, mate. 99.
Just kidding. And also, the blues and the orange, and this is something I talked in my composition ebook. They
Yeah.
are complementary colors in the color wheel, and so that's why it's so pleasing to the to the eye. It's just the colors work together so well. It's the orange, the blues. Then the tree there it's on the rule of thirds exactly. If you put the lines of the rule of thirds, it's absolutely spot on the sweet spot where the vertical and horizontal line of the rule of thirds are kind of intersecting more or less. And I haven't even cropped the image. It's just one shot. Yeah.
Wow, mate. Wow. Incredible. Beautiful image.
Thank you.
I think there was a couple of quick questions. We'll just touch on these quickly, mate. Do you tend to use a circular polarized filter for your photography? And the second one, you can kind of bundle them together. Any risk of getting bogged in the Atacama Lake there?
Yeah. I don't use the polarizer very much these days. I don't use filters very much. The only filter I bring in my bag is the 10 stops. I also have the polarizer, but that's it. I don't use any more filters. And getting bogged, that could happen. So that's why you need to drive really slowly. And it took us 7 hours to cross the whole lake that year with Ken, because the cars can only go at 10, 15 kilometers per hour maximum. They have to put, one of the things they do is to put a lot of plants and underneath the engine, because it's very, very dangerous for the car to get salt on the engine, and they can stop in the middle of the lake, and that could be very, very dangerous. So yeah, you can get bogged, but fortunately, it hasn't happened yet.
I'm laughing because you remember when I drove the car off the side of the road in Iceland? First day.
Oh yeah, and our adventure in Lake Eyre, getting into Lake Eyre was incredible too.
And I managed to drive the car off the side of the road there too. So if you ever come on a tour, with me or myself and Iggy, then don't get in my car. Although maybe you want an adventure, and that would be fun, because I'm getting a name for myself for driving off the side of the road and getting stuck and losing lenses out windows and all sorts. All right,
yeah,
mate, this one is spectacular, absolutely spectacular. Tell us a little bit about this one.
This was photographed on my first trip to Finland in winter. I had been there before in summer, but and I had seen pictures of these things. Yeah, and I just loved it. It's just such an amazing landscape in Lapland, Finland. You gotta go out around February. You got a little bit later, the wind and the higher temperatures, you don't get this kind of thing anymore. So the best thing is to go around January, February. And we had a really good year because it had been snowing a lot that winter. So the forms, the shapes were incredible. Those are trees basically. So yeah, it's just call them frozen trees. Yeah, I think the image is called Frozen Giants, and yeah, I also love it.
It's magic.
I think it was minus 20, minus 25 degrees, so it's pretty cold. I photographed this handheld. Just sometimes you just don't have the time or to set up the tripod on that kind of weather conditions. Were quite tricky. I'm talking about some of these images in my next ebook that I'm finishing with Paul Holland, and and which is called Dissecting Award-Winning Shots. So I'm talking about this image and the other ones that you have shown.
Yep.
But yeah, so monochromatic kind of image, and a lot of atmosphere there, and where you can feel the cold pretty much. It's just I've never seen landscape like that ever in my life. It was like being on another planet, to be honest. Like we were driving our snowmobiles and around the snow and the ice, and just look around, all these trees frozen. It was such an incredible experience, and some of the photos were nice. Yeah.
Beautiful, mate. I'm looking forward to that new ebook. Whilst we mention that, anyone watching along that hasn't downloaded Iggy's new 10 steps to composition mastery or something or other, Iggy, it's something like that, isn't it? It's in
Something
the
like
description
that.
below. It's in the description below. Click on that link. Go ahead, mate.
Yeah, no, 10 I think it's called 10 ingredients, where I talk about color, light, lines, balance, simplicity, patterns, and a few other things. Yeah. So
yeah, download that one, and you will also get onto Ignacio's email list, and you'll get notification when these new award-winning photography ebooks or dissecting award-winning images come out. And it's going to be really incredible. He's got Paul Holan putting commentary in there, and a few other really high-profile photographers talking about why Ignacio's images have been so successful over the last 5 or 10 years or so. So that'll be really, really good. Let's jump on to the next one, mate. Looks like there's a couple of questions here. Sam asks, when you visit locations multiple times, are you always looking for new subjects, new compositions, or mainly improving on previous compositions, or both, I suppose?
I think I tend to look for something different. When I go to locations that I have visited in the past, like the Atacama, Altiplano regions, Patagonia, Finland, or Lofoten, I always try to find new compositions and new images. And the reason behind that is because I'm working on books on those locations. I'm working on a book about Patagonia. I'm doing another one about the Atacama, Altiplano, Finland and Scandinavia. So I always try to find something different and unique that I can use for some of my books or final prints. But of course, if something unique is happening in a location or a composition that I have taken before, then of course I take that shot as well if I can. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, one other question. What challenges you as a photographer? What do you find challenging, or what inspires you? Let's go with inspires and challenges you as a photographer.
Inspires me. The work from other photographers that I admire is inspiring me, and that's the reason why I buy all these books and also prints. And you do too. I think you collect images from photographers that have inspired you in your career, and I look up at them, and so I just want to produce the same images or the same quality images that they have produced, and it inspires me other locations that I haven't seen. So I look at locations and photograph of places where I haven't been yet, and that inspires me that I could get there and take those shots or similar shots or better shots. Weather conditions are challenging. There are many different challenges when you are on a tour. Like I don't know, like
people
road. We had some challenges in our last trip in Bolivia. We had some riots and we couldn't get out of the actually from the Salar de Uyuni. There was some political issues going around and it was a bit dodgy. Then Kamchatka, challenging. The mosquitoes were challenging there. When we went to Kamchatka, it was absolutely insane that summer. There were mosquitoes everywhere, and to be honest, we had to even wear gloves and masks, and even with that, they were just biting us through our jeans and everything. And I just couldn't shoot. I couldn't shoot at sunset. There was like thousands of mosquitoes around you, and it was full on. So every trip has a challenge, but also it's yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
So
And then you're looking at those challenges and those trips. Sometimes they are the most memorable trips that you do.
Yeah, adds to the adventure. I remember you telling me a story that going to the bathroom with a million mosquitoes was a bit interesting in some of those bush toilets, mate.
Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, I just couldn't even. It's just.
Oh, good one.
Same.
Okay, so yeah, all sorts of challenges. And of course, at the moment, professionally, it's a bit of a challenge as well, isn't it? But we touched on that. We won't go deeper in that for now. What about this image, mate? What is it? Looks like a glacier. Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, that's a glacier in Chamonix in France. And yeah, and I was photographing this from a cable car with my family, with my kids, and they were just going insane with the altitude sickness because it was 4,400 meters, and we had to go from around 1,500. So it was a good difference, and they were just going mental. I think they were 2 and 4 at that time when I photographed this. So they were just driving me crazy in the cable car, and then I saw this glacier and patterns, and I was like, oh my god! And all I could do is photograph this. It was so beautiful. I went home and I thought, this is beautiful, but it needs something. It needs something. It needs story. It needs something, a point of reference, some
scale.
some to give some scale to make a story. What is it? If you just photograph the pattern, you might not know what it is. But luckily I photographed some of these climbers on the other side of the cable car, and actually I don't know if you remember this, but you gave me the idea, or you don't you taught me how to put them on the pictures, because I didn't know, just to make a selection with you help me with the selection of the climbers. So this is a composite image, and I put those trekkers or climbers on the right hand side of the image. What is the technique that we use for this?
Blend if, mate. The solution to everything.
Blend if, that's right. Blend if. Yeah, I've used it a few times. Yeah, it's all.
Yeah. No, it's a nice image. We'll skip along to the next one. There's some questions over here as well. Here we go. This will start some debate. 1 second, just let me see. Challenges. Cheryl says thanks for the ebook. She loves it. The free ebook in the description there. How do you manage your... Tom Putt says, of course, he inspires you the most. Would that be correct? Tom Putt inspires you? Who's Tom Putt?
Who is Tom Putt? I don't know that. I don't know that guy.
Okay, good one. I saw that coming. How do you manage logistics with traveling with all your gear? Have you got any little secrets to get your gear on the plane or through the here and there? We're carrying a lot of weight.
It's always difficult. Weight, and like in the last trip to India, I would have liked to get more lenses. I could only get the 800mm and a couple of lenses. I always have, my backpack carry-on luggage is always heavier than my actual checking luggage. It's normally around 15 to 17 kilos. And then I have another lens, which is a long lens. So I always take 2. And when I'm traveling with guests, I always leave one of my bags with one of them. And if they check my weight, I just always do tricky things. Sometimes you get into trouble, sometimes not, but most of the times it's okay.
I remember when we were I think we were in Norway when we were traveling together, Iggy, and they were checking luggage for weight, and you had that big duffel coat thing on, and you were stuffing lenses and camera bodies.
All the lenses in my pockets,
yeah, you were just loaded to the hilt with all different lenses and this and that. It was hilarious. This image here, mate, I know this definitely got a gold. I'm sure of it, and you did really well at APA that particular year. Tell us about this image. It's phenomenal. I love it.
Yeah, this image, it's called Iceland, and
it's called what?
It's
I
think you know a bit of the story. I had this vision before I went to the trip with you and look to Iceland of photographing this photograph to dead locations in Iceland. Everyone photographed the same thing, the same waterfalls from the same points, and I wanted to. Every one of us wanted to create something different, and you certainly did as well. And look, I have this vision of encapsulating or on ice some of these icons in Iceland, and So this is a composite image, and the actual frame was photographed on one of the glaciers that we visited. So it was it was a hole that was on the glacier, and then we photographed those icebergs on one of the beaches in Iceland. And I just decided to do a composite and put that piece of iceberg like if I was shooting through that tunnel of ice. I think he got a gold in the APAS a few years ago. And I also used focus stacking here for the frame. So it took a while to do this one. I did a few versions, putting an aurora in the background as well. And
that's right.
I had fun with this image. And
again, one of my favorites was that reindeer aurora image that you put on Facebook.
Yes.
With that incredible story about waiting and this and that. And it was a great composite, but the story was so funny about waiting and hiding in a snow cave and waiting for the right moment, and hilarious, mate.
Then I got into trouble because a lot of people believe that, and then I got into trouble on Facebook, and I had to apologize. No, this is not right. This is not true.
It's good you don't take yourself too seriously, mate. Okay, let's keep on. Oh wow, pretty phenomenal.
Is Tom Pat still there looking, or can you block him?
Is Tom Pat? Who's Tom Pat? Yeah, he's still there.
Okay.
Yeah, he thinks the name of your last image, Icehole, is very funny.
Yeah. Yeah, this photograph in Kamchatka is the location that I was talking to you before, where we had lots of mosquitoes. And this is a place called Lake Kuril. It's in the Kamchatka Peninsula, far east Russia, south of the peninsula. It's one of the greatest concentration of grizzly or brown bears in Russia and in the world. So we saw so many of these bears, and they are not fighting; they are just playing on the lake. And I got hundreds and hundreds of images like this. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Again, strong subject, powerful.
In wildlife, I find wildlife. Sometimes you take thousands of images of the same subject, and then you just have to get one. So in process of just selected one. This is because the water was surrounding them, and it made a good composition with the water around, and kind of symmetrical, making a triangle on the square, cropped. Same with the aerial images. You might have hundreds and hundreds of images, and just little things when you go and select the one that you really like. It's just small details that matters. And it's interesting. Yeah.
Oh, it's nice, mate. Strong subject, really powerful moment. All that water flying, blank background, not much going on in the background. It really, really works. Tell me, what was the lens you shot with, and roughly what were the settings? Because I know that if this was shot with an 800 or something like that, it can be really hard to get sharp photos, handheld, or is it from a tripod?
Yeah, this was with a Nikon 200 to 500. And I wasn't that impressed with that lens, especially at low light. When you photograph wildlife, that's when your best chance to photograph wildlife is at sunrise or before sunrise, and sunset and after sunset. So this was at around sunset time. And the 200 to 500 is only f2.5, 5.6. So it was a little bit tricky, and I had to push the ISO a bit to freeze the movement and the water. So it gets a little bit noisy. And after this trip, I decided to invest on a better lens. So I got a 400 2.8 now, and probably will get in the future the 200 to 400 or even the 600. It's just so important when you go on a trip like this. For my guests, I always say, just buy the best lens that you can afford. Especially if you do expensive trips like this, you pay $10,000 on trips like this, and you need to get the best quality lens you can, because you're going to use it again and again, and if you can afford it, then it's a good investment. And I've had my lenses for the last 15 years, I still use the same Nikon lenses that I was using 15 years ago. Just buy the best that you can afford, and then you will have it forever. So, yeah. So Yeah, that was a 200 to 500, and
So
yeah, I can't remember the settings, but yeah, I
roughly
can't remember
off
one
off
thousand of a second or something like that. But I don't know if I could get that. Yeah, I don't know. But,
yeah, off the
yeah.
top of off the top of your head, like roughly how fast do you need to make sure your shutter speed is to get, nice sharp details when you're hand holding a 500 mm lens or something like that?
Well, a 500 mil, with a 500 mil, and you are handholding the lens. You always, if the subject is not moving, then I always multiply by two.
Yeah, okay.
So if you're using a 500 mil, you multiply the 500 by two, that's 1,000. So you should shoot 1,000 of a second, so you don't get any vibrations or the shoot, or it's blurry. You can get away with 500, but to my guest, I always go a little bit, I always want to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
But when the subject is moving fast like this, you have to go faster than that. So 2,000 of a second. If then you're photographing bears, or then you have to go faster than that. So
Yeah.
depends on how fast your subject is moving. But if it's static, if it's a landscape or an animal that is not moving, then multiply that by two, and that's safe.
And then and that's why you need the good lenses, right? Because if your aperture is not wide enough, you need to push your ISO up to get those speeds.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Expensive glass with the wide apertures help out.
Yeah, but they are also heavier. So
here we go. There's another question. Oh, there's a bear question. Is the bear shot taken as a frame from the video we saw earlier? No, I don't.
No. I mean, maybe yes. Yeah. Well, I wasn't taking the video. I had a professional videographer with me doing that video. But yeah, probably there are some images or some footage of that in the video. I haven't watched the video for a while.
Yeah.
No, it's the image that I took with my camera. But
sure. This image here, Iggy, is probably one of the ones that maybe a lot of people discovered your work through. It went pretty viral when you first produced it, I remember. Were you one of the first ones to not shoot this location, but process it in this way with those beautiful the warm colors versus the cold colors? Because, the location itself is not, I don't remember it being so red and warm and whatnot. I remember it being very black and white on the rocks in particular. Tell me a little bit about it.
You didn't go at the right time of the year, Adam. You have to go at the right time of the year.
So these rocks change colours at autumn time, do they,
Iggy? Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, the original image was, I was exposing to the right, so it's pretty washed out. And then you bring up a lot of this detail when you underexpose this.
Yeah.
Color is there. Probably it wasn't as much, but I brought up the detail or the color on the water and on the wall on the right hand side to look. It looks like the sun is hitting that part of the waterfall. This was in Karijini National Park in Australia.
Yeah.
After a workshop with Peter Eastway, with Tony Hewitt, Christian Fletcher, I stayed in the park a little bit longer because we couldn't get to this particular location. So I still got my 4-wheel drive and I stayed maybe 3 or 4 in the park, and I was photographing this on my own and with a little bit more time without other photographers around me. So, I took the time and I saw this actually when I was at home. The first time that I was going through the images, I skipped this one. But then when I cropped it square, really, really worked and decided to work on it. You can see did a waterfall there following a diagonal. The subject pretty much following the rule of thirds is pretty well balanced. The orange and the blues again, complementary in the color wheel. This is one of my favorite images ever, if not my favorite image. When I came to Australia in 2008, I went to a few bookshops, and the first thing is to look at locations in Australia, and I saw all these books from Ken Duncan, and I saw some images of Karijini, and I was like, wow, this is incredible. incredible. I have to get to Karijini National Park one day. That was in 2008, and I think I photographed this in 2013 or 2012.
Yeah.
2000. So it took me 4 years to go. Yeah, I just knew that I had to go there. At that time, I was working part-time in photography. I was still working as an engineer, but I was like kind of finishing that. And then after this trip, I produced my first book about Karijini, just shooting 1 week in the park, and produced this book that did really well. It's pretty much sold out. And then an exhibition, and following this trip, I decided to do more trips, and the part-time photography became full-time professional photography. So this is a very special image. I love it, and it means a lot to me. So
yeah, absolutely. No, I've been there. The colors are there for anyone that's thinking that I'm having a dig at Ignacio, but what I mean is this beautiful high contrast richness to this photo. And since Ignacio has produced this particular image, it's kind of spread out, and it becomes sort of what you do when you go to Karijini is you capture this particular shot and you produce it in much similar way. Even if you've never seen Ignacio's before, it's kind of spread out a little bit, in my opinion, and influenced a lot of photographers that go there now. Couple of questions, Iggs, or a question and a statement. Timothy Moon says, great image, it's hanging on his wall. So that's the surefire sign that it's an incredible image if someone would...
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, absolutely. And Robin has a serious question. She says, how do you adapt your behaviour to not get eaten by bears?
Yeah, no, it's like with... I think tigers are probably more dangerous than bears if you get out of the car. I mean, with the bears, we were standing on the beach, and they were like 2 or 3 meters away from us. Not 2 meters, but probably 4 or 5 meters away. We had a bear with 2 little cubs just going around us, 4 meters away. They don't do anything, especially if you're in a group of photographers. They are harmless. No problem with the bears, although they are very, they are huge, and your heart starts to pump when you see one of them and too close to you. It's incredible. I think with tigers it's a bit more difficult, or different. Yeah.
This a beautiful image here.
Laker.
Yeah, spectacular image, mate. Paul Holland reckons he got this shot before you got this shot. Well, you were in the same plane. You guys were in the same plane, weren't you? I was with Luke. Yeah.
I don't know, but his shot was blurry.
It was a bit soft.
That's
paintedly, Iggy. It was paintedly. No, it's a beautiful shot. What I love about this shot, I'm not sure if you guys can see this at home, but there's a set of car tracks, or a couple of sets of car tracks, in fact. I think there's 2 separate sets of car tracks running through the image, which really give it a bit of contrast or juxtaposition between human interaction and the natural.
That's right.
Beautiful.
That's one of them, yeah.
The colours and the patterns at Lake Erigi were pretty spectacular, weren't they, when we were there that time?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that, that project with you guys. It was incredible.
Yeah.
The images we produced from that area, the book, the exhibition, it was incredible.
Yeah, in fact, for everyone at home that hasn't heard of or seen the work that the Light Collective produced, including Ignacio and myself, jump over to www.thelightcollective.com.au and you can see a few of the images there. I think there's about 20 images on the website from our exhibition. Plus there is also, it's about a 120-page book. I think it's about $40 or $50, but it's a beautiful book. That's nearly sold out as well, Iggy. Not many of those left, is there?
Yeah. Not so many.
Yeah, not too many. Every time we get a sale through.
I think we printed 2,000 and we only have 200 or 300 left.
Yeah.
Quite sure. But,
yeah, there's not too many left. I know that. So jump on there before it sells out. It's a beautiful little book. Let's keep on trucking to... here we go. This is the one that I'm definitely going to have to acquire for my print collection at some stage, Iggy. I love it. I do. Is the #1 edition still available or not?
No, it's not.
Damn it. I'll have to get in line. Tell
Target
us
number
about...
2.
What's
I'll
that?
give you a discount. One.
A discount? Absolutely. Thanks, mate. Thanks. I appreciate it. Tell me about this one. I know there's a bit of a story behind this one.
Yeah, so this one was photographed in Spain. South of Spain is a region called Andalusia, and there is a place with a lot of birds and wetlands. I had seen many images as well from some of my friends in Spain, photographers, and I really wanted to photograph in this location. A few years ago, I spent a whole year in Spain with my family, and it was just my chance to go. So I took 4 days, and my battery is running low. Let me see. And I might have to put the computer in our place.
That's okay.
So yeah, so the story behind this is that the first day when I took this flight, I was using some size manual lenses, and I moved the ring from the infinity into, anyway, all my images from that morning were blurry and not usable. They were crap, and I was so disappointed, and I couldn't sleep that night, and I had to go the next day again. I spent so much money flying. It was pretty expensive. I was 4 or 5 hours, chartered the whole flight, the whole plane for myself. So, but then I got the images that were blurry the first day. I saw some flamingos in this particular formation, and I wanted to capture the same then the following day, but of course I couldn't see this particular formation of flamingos flying over the marismas, over the wetlands. So I had to get some of the flamingos from one shot and put them in that particular position. So it's a composite. I have moved the flamingos around so that they follow that triangle, and I have done a few other things on the shot. But but it's very nice shot as well. That I think I sent to the APAS the same year that I sent Ice Wolfe.
Okay, well, I'm here by myself now. Let's see, we'll give Iggy, I'm sure he's going to jump back on. Feel free to load up some questions. Have a look in the description down below. Of course, we have a whole bunch of information there. You can also, don't leave us, stick around, Iggy will be here. We've still got another 5 or 6 images to come and have a chat about, and I want to have a look at a little bit about his ebook. In fact, let's do that now while Iggy's here. Iggy's coming back. Let me show you this ebook. We'll just have a flick through. So this is for free. Iggy has created this ebook. It's 180 odd pages, I think. There's a link in the description to sign up. 10 ingredients of composition mastery. Okay, so color, light, leading lines, balance and symmetry, simplicity, pattern and rhythm, the importance of contrast, depth and perspective, subject placement, and of course breaking the rules. Once you learn the rules, then you have the ability to break them and see what works. Let's just have a quick flick through. But I mean, all that information, 188 pages, talking about the importance of light, leading lines, balance, symmetry, simplicity, pattern and rhythm, contrast, depth, all those things. It's just an absolute wealth of knowledge. Plus, it is illustrated by all Ignacio's incredible images. Okay, absolutely gorgeous. If you haven't already downloaded it, sorry about this. We'll keep plugging away for a little, Iggy, and we'll see how that goes. Hopefully that echo is gone. Beautiful. Wow, what's that, Iggy?
That's this is a reptile in Madagascar, one of those.
Like a iguana or something, is it? Or a...
Yeah, what is it? Yeah, it's a chameleon.
Oh, chameleon, yeah, okay.
Madagascar.
Wow,
It's
spectacular.
photographed with a macro lens, but you see a little bit of a shallow depth of field over there because I couldn't photograph that with a tripod. It was handheld, so yeah,
Beautiful,
it's
mate.
not perfect, but it's still beautiful colors. And, yeah.
Yeah, guys, what I've done is I've turned Iggy's direct mic off, which stops it looping back through my mic. I don't know why it's doing that, but so currently Iggy might be a little bit soft because it's coming through my computer and then feeding back to the microphone. So sorry about that, but at least you can hear him and we don't have the echo. So let's keep on trucking through. Another beauty. Rhythm. Beautiful. Progressive rhythm. So that's like the repetition of shapes, Iggy, something like that you're talking about there?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, what's that blue one?
This one is that was photographed in the Atacama Desert in a location called Tatio Geysers, and it's just some patterns that you find. That was on the ground. That was photographed with a macro lens as well.
Yeah, okay. Question from over on the group here. They notice you use square crop a lot. Is there any particular reason? Do you just enjoy square crop more so, or?
Yeah, I love the square cropped. Yeah, I like my compositions very simple, and I find the square it's a really it's a some find it difficult to compose on that square crop, but I just love it, and I found it the perfect composite, the perfect frame, to be honest, because it's one side the length and the width is the same, so it's just perfect.
Okay.
So when you photograph something as a portrait and one side is longer than the other, for me that's an imperfection. So if you want to make something, I also have shots like that, but some of the square ones, it really works well, and so I really enjoy that format. Yeah, and some of them.
Wow, absolutely beautiful.
And that's lensois maranienses. Some of these have to be replaced a little bit low quality.
Oh man, I think they're incredible.
Yeah.
One person has said, will it ever be available in hard copy? Because they would love to purchase a copy of this particular book in hard copy.
I say that because it's quite a big book. So to print this, if I only print a few hundreds, it's going to be really expensive. So to make it work, probably I have to print a few thousand in China, probably, and then that's also expensive. I don't know. Yeah, it might be. I might do it in the future. I'm thinking of printing a few hundreds, but that's just to give to my guests during my photography tours.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna make it available as a book.
Maybe
you can buy in the website, but I am thinking of printing a few. Yeah.
Maybe you could do a crowdfunding type scenario, Iggy, so that you could produce 200 or 500 of them based on people buying them before they're printed. Yeah. You could absolutely do that. So make sure you sign up for the ebook, which will get you on Iggy's email list, and you will know if any opportunities come up like that to purchase this book in hard copy. Is that same chameleon, Iggy? There is it?
I think so. Yeah,
Similar,
that was that was beautiful. It's the same one. Yeah, that's in the Atacama. That's in the Yukon, and also in Laguna Colorada, the Red Lagoon in Bolivia, the flamingos.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
The questions before, you want to try something different. So I have photographed in this lagoon for so many years. And then in that trip, I had this idea in my mind and I wanted to make it blurry. So I photographed the flamingos with a 10-stop filter. And luckily, 2 of them didn't move. But it's a little bit of a composite. It's not absolutely real. So I have blurred them a little bit more with a with a movement filter in Photoshop. And then I have overlaid a few other shots on top of it to make it work. But yeah, so it's a different shot of this Red Lagoon in Bolivia.
Yeah, it's really effective, mate. I like it. I like it a lot. That's nice too.
Simple.
Yeah, simplicity. Depth and perspective. Shoot me any last questions, guys. If you've got a few last questions, we'll wrap this up shortly. Thanks for sticking around. I'm sorry about the technical glitch that we had. We'll blame Iggy for not plugging his computer in, or we can blame me for going on a little bit too long there. Iggy said, is it about an hour? As we crossed over the hour, his computer pretty much turned off. Said, that'll do me. But that's okay. So make sure you download this. I mean, if you're interested in photography, this is a beautiful little book to really inspire you and also give you a great foundation of the skills and knowledge that Ignacio has used throughout his throughout his photography to get that composition, which then has resulted in, a lot of success. I'm not suggesting that, well, could we suggest that if they download this book, they will do better in competitions, Iggy? I don't think we can say that, but maybe as a result, that could be the case.
Oh, like I said before, just looking at images, looking at books from other photographers, then you certainly improve your composition. And so that's one of the things that I use to get inspiration and to improve, to look at the work that others are doing, what are they doing differently, other, different compositions. And
yeah,
you always, the more you read and the more you get out there and shoot, and the more you read and these type of books.
Iggy,
your tutorials, I remember, I've gone through so much as well with tutorials from Peter Eastway as well, the education stuff that you are doing, and so it's always a way to learn and to improve your photography, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm a little disappointed with this one, Iggy. This one's called Breaking the Rules, and this is the image where you had the aurora behind the reindeers, and you've gone with the straight shot. I think we could have had the aurora here for Breaking the Rules.
True.
Oh, I love that. Look at the simplicity. Absolutely beautiful. We saw that.
In those two, the horizon is right in the middle, so that's just breaking the rules. But in some shots, it works.
I will mention as well, we've been talking about the ebook, which is a fantastic book. I think it's incredible, well worth downloading. But if you're interested in looking at Ignacio's upcoming tours, I know they're all on hold for the time being, but maybe if you want to do that in the next couple of years when everything's back to normal, jump over and look at iptravelphotography.com.au, Iggy?
Yeah.
iptravelphotography.com.au. You can see all of Iggy's incredible prints, his portfolio, and of course the tours coming up. But if you download the ebook, you'll also get notifications when those tours are coming up, when they're back on as well. I will unshare here. Where are we? Stop share. Gallery view. All right, Iggy, thanks for joining us. Thanks everyone for putting up with the technical issues. I'm going to have to do some research and figure out how I can get that audio in without it coming back. I was working all night last night and this morning trying to get my headphones to work with the microphone so we could separate those two audio splits just in case that exact thing happened. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to, and Murphy's Law came back to bite me on the butt. But anyway, it's all good. Iggy, thanks, mate. Anything else you want to add? No? Yeah? Anything else you wanted to say to the audience that have been watching?
No. Thanks to you, and thanks everyone for listening. Anytime, mate. Anytime if you want to talk about anything else, yeah.
Well, we might do that. There was a lot of people that were interested in your workflow, so we might get you back on and do a little bit of a run through of workflow, talk about what you do and why on a particular image.
Sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Couple of final questions. Let me just have a look here. Peter Hammer, what upload bandwidth do you need for these sessions? I got no idea, Peter. I'm currently using NBN, but I was using my mobile phone, and both of them seem to work pretty well. Gail says, please convey thanks for today's session. The fun. A lot of people thought that was funny, so they had a good laugh at us fumbling around trying to get things to work, but we got there in the end. All right, mate. Well, everyone's saying thank you. They love it. They love your work, and they enjoy the ebook. So thanks for joining us, and we'll get you back in well, in another week or so. What I'm going to do, everyone, stick around. If you didn't see the full version of Iggy's Kamchatka video, I'm going to play it now for the next 6 minutes right on the end here. So stick around, watch that, enjoy that, be inspired. And other than that, thanks a lot for viewing. Hit the subscribe button, get the notifications, hit the like button. It all helps the channel to get the